Darkness, silence, and then click. It's 3:47 a.m. That sound, that meaningless, trivial click, just triggered something primal in your brain. Your heart rate spikes, muscles tense. Every sensory receptor screams danger. During the day, you heard the same sound a dozen times and didn't even notice. But now in the dark, it feels like a threat. Why does your brain betray you like this? In 2021, researchers at Monash University's Turner Institute made a breakthrough discovery. Using fMRI brain scans, they measured what happens in your brain when lights go out. 23 participants were exposed to alternating periods of darkness and light while scientists watched their amygdala, your brain's fear center, in real time. The results were striking. Light suppressed activity in the amygdala, with moderate light causing significantly greater suppression than dim light, and darkness causing the amygdala to activate intensely. But here's what's fascinating. Light also strengthened the connection between your amygdala and your ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that controls fear. In darkness, this connection weakens. Your rational brain loses its grip on your fear center. You're not imagining things. Your brain is literally changing how it processes the world around you. When you can't see, your brain doesn't just sit idle. A groundbreaking 2019 study at the University of Maryland revealed something extraordinary. Adult mice kept in darkness for just 1 week showed increased sensitivity of individual neurons in the auditory cortex and changed the way groups of neurons work together in response to sound. The same mechanism exists in humans. Your auditory cortex doesn't just turn up the volume, it fundamentally rewires how it processes sound. Brain cell networks redistribute their allocation of space to different frequencies, increasing sensitivity to high and low frequencies while decreasing mid-range sensitivity. That cabinet creak isn't actually louder at night. Your brain is amplifying it, hyper-focusing on every acoustic detail because vision, your primary threat detection system, is offline. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Humans only became apex predators recently with the advent of technology. Before that, our ancestors were constantly hunted by predators that specialized in nighttime attacks. A 2011 study published in PLOS ONE examined lion attacks in Tanzania and found something chilling. Lion attacks were 60% more likely to occur after 6 p.m. than during daylight hours. For hundreds of thousands of years, darkness meant vulnerability. Humans evolved as diurnal, relatively vulnerable primates, and night increased both predation risk and social threat, making brains that treated darkness as potentially dangerous have significant survival value. Those ancestors who ignored nighttime sounds, they didn't survive long enough to become your ancestors. The paranoid ones, the hypervigilant ones, the ones who froze at every crack and rustle, they lived, and they passed that circuitry down to you. Here's where it gets really interesting. Even when someone is sleeping next to you, that click still triggers fear. Logic says you're safer with another person nearby. So why doesn't your fear shut off? Because social comfort cannot override evolutionary circuitry. Your amygdala doesn't process abstract concepts like, my partner is here so I'm safe. It processes immediate sensory data. Darkness plus unfamiliar sound equals potential threat. Interestingly, research from the University of Würzburg in 2020 found that the mere presence of another person, even a stranger who provides no active support, can reduce physiological fear responses measured through skin resistance. But this calming effect is limited. Your ancient brain still runs its threat detection protocols independently of your social reassurance systems. There's another layer, the fear of social embarrassment. What if I wake them up and it's nothing? This modern anxiety actually amplifies your stress. Now you're managing both primitive fear and social evaluation simultaneously. When visual input is limited, the brain begins to fill in gaps, with shadows interpreted as movement and silence interpreted as anticipation, creating the impression that something is present even when nothing is there. A 2024 study published in Religion, Brain and Behavior explored this phenomenon. Researchers found that feelings of presence become more likely when people are alone in the dark with dulled senses and uncertainty about their surroundings. as the brain leans more heavily on prior expectations when sensory input is weak. Your brain operates on predictive processing. It's constantly generating predictions about reality and checking them against sensory data. In darkness, with minimal data coming in, your predictions run wild. But here's the scientific redemption. The moment you identify that sound source, everything changes. Your prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, finally gets the data it needs. The medial prefrontal cortex normally reduces fear responses by suppressing amygdala output, and this connection allows organisms to adjust emotional behavior when environmental circumstances change. Light a lamp. See the source. Your brain receives concrete information, the amygdala deactivates, and the prefrontal cortex reasserts control. Fear doesn't vanish because you're braver. It vanishes because uncertainty does. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are the product of 300,000 years of successful survival. That fear kept your ancestors alive when darkness meant death. That hypervigilance, that sensitivity to sound, that inability to just relax in the dark. These aren't bugs in your programming. They're features. Modern neuroscience shows us that this fear response is sophisticated, multi-layered, and deeply adaptive. Error management theory suggests the human brain is wired to make biased decisions that minimize the most costly mistake. Better to be paranoid and live than to be wrong and die. Your brain loves you. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Keep you breathing. The next time that sound cuts through the darkness and your heart jumps, remember, this is not weakness. This is your evolutionary inheritance. This is your brain, honoring an ancient contract written in the DNA of survivors. Turn on the light, not because you're afraid, but because you understand. You are the descendant of the cautious, the vigilant, the survivors. And that fear, that's your birthright. Sleep well, not fearlessly, but wisely.